Hello and welcome to the channel. We are going to be doing a bit of a review today of this guy here. This is the new Tokyo Marui Glock 19 and it's basically a pistol that's been around now for about 3 weeks, and I've managed to get hold of one of these to review on loan. So before we kick off, firstly, if you guys want to see more content on the channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you would like to be notified of new content, please hit the notification bell icon, and when we post stuff you'll get notified. So to start off with, this is the Tokyo Marui Glock 19. I've been given this on loan from Wolf Armouries here in London to basically review this guy. They were one of the first retailers in the UK to get them, and by the time you see this they'll have probably sold out. They only get about 16 or so of these in, and there were a lot of pre-orders. So with that, the other piece of essentially service information I need to sort of divulge is I am not a fan of Glocks. So there shouldn't be any bias in this review, but effectively I'm not a big fan of Glocks in general. I don't actually own one, or I've borrowed one, so I can just show you a couple of things when we come to this review, but in general I'm not a fan. So first things first, let's take a look around the box. We've got a very nice looking box here. We've got a nice picture of the gun on the front. It's a Glock 19 3rd generation. We've got a bit of information here about the actual real Glock. Then we've got the usual sort of Tokyo Marui stuff here, telling you what it is. It's, you know, Tokyo Marui gas blowback pistol, and that's pretty much it. The sides are pretty much just showing you the Glock 19 logo thing as well. So let's take a look inside and get a quick look. So what we've got here is we have got the pistol and we've got a magazine. Let's just take those out for a second so we can see what else is in here. We have got a cleaning rod. In this pack here you've got the kind of usual thing that Tokyo Marui do. They put the barrel plug, the BBs that they sort of ship with the gun, and there's also another little bit in here which is essentially these sliders for the pistol mags. They've got a couple of spares in there as well. And that's pretty much what we've got in the box. Let's just pull this to one side and let's take a look around the pistol. So we have, this is the Glock magazine, fairly straightforward. It's kind of got the Glock trades on it. It's just a 9mm mag. We've got the kind of the holes that you would see for rounds that are in there, whether or not you can count the number of rounds in it that you'd have in the real thing. But this is Airsoft, so we've got a hole there for the gas reservoir. Fill it up. There's a little catch there so you can slide the bottom cap off and replace them. They do probably do different size ones like you do for some of the others. And got a nice clear slider here. Just pull that back. It's nice strong spring. It did fit, you know, it's got a good purchase to it. Nice big opening there for you to kind of feed BBs in. Pretty standard stuff for Tokyo Marui pistol mags. Yeah, and it's a bit smaller. Just to kind of way of thing, this is actually a magazine from the G18 that I've kind of borrowed off, and as you see there is a difference in size. Width wise they are fairly similar, but the shape is they might be compatible, but I doubt it actually. No, they're not. There's some differences there. So as I look at those, you could possibly, I'm not going to stick this mag in here just to make sure I don't damage the gun. So yeah, there's the magazine, fairly straightforward magazine. So it's a bit smaller. Pistol wise, we have got Glock trades on this side, on the pistol grip and on the upper slide. If we sort of flip it over, got a little bit of a serial number thing going on down here, and we've also got the Glock trade there and a sort of serial number, and then we've got the Tokyo Marui details there. In terms of the pistol, sort of holding it, I've got fairly small hands, but this pistol grip does feel pretty tight for me and quite cramped, especially around the bottom where my little finger is. I'm not enjoying that. It's a little bit tight. Now, one of the reasons I don't like Glocks is I don't like the pistol grip. The way this ridging goes here. This is present on this one, which is the Glock 18. This is a much bigger grip, but again, I'm not a big fan of the way that feels, and I don't really sort of like the way they feel. Although this one is better, it's slightly small. It feels smaller to actually do. So the first thing is, one of the things I've noticed when holding this is my thumb for the mag release. I don't have as much of the thumb as I'd like on that mag release to push it down. I do have to kind of squeeze and wrap around to push it down. It isn't ambidextrous features on here. This is the slide release, and if we just pop the slide back, the slide position is okay, but to kind of have that in one fluid movement, that's a little bit harder to press and get a good enough release, but that's fine. That'll pop forward like so. That's now actually cocked. So trigger wise, there's no BBs in this. I haven't even fired it or gassed it up, but effectively I've got a nice good trigger pull. It clicks and it locks back once the trigger's thing with no BB in there. Obviously if there was gas and BBs and stuff in there, it would actually spring back forward, so you could actually fire again. So that's kind of the thing. There is no safety on Glocks, so yeah, that's pretty much standard part of the course with the Glock pistol. Just to kind of show a bit of a comparison, this is the 18C, this is the 19. As you can see, and I will just pick that up and show you, there is a good difference in the hand grip size. This is the 18C. It's a bit longer. It actually is a bit thinner as I look at it and look down on it than the 19. And this is probably one of the reasons, one of the obvious differences. One of the main features of the Glock 19 is its size, and by that I mean the Glock 19 is a more faithful replica of the real Glock 19 than any other that TM have ever produced. All the others are slightly different size-wise. The slides may be thicker or slightly thinner. The hand grip slightly thinner or smaller. And what Tokyo Marui have done with this model is essentially made it essentially a one-to-one scale. This gun fits real steel holsters. So if you've got a Safariland or a Black Hawk Serpa or whatever real steel holster, this will fit in and be, as a real gun. If you take, for instance, this guy and drop this into a Safariland or some other real steel holster, you may not find it will fit. It may be loose, it may be too wide, depending on the holster. You may have problems fitting that gun. And this is one of the things that Tokyo Marui have done with the Glock 19, is it is a proper fit. And I have tried this in, I think it was a Phobos holster as well, and it sort of in the store, they had one to just try it out with, and I tried one in there, and it fit perfectly. You know, it didn't rattle. There was no it didn't sort of catch or anything else. It was just perfect in its fit. So what else do we have in here? First off, the hop on this, and I'll just lock that back. The hop is just down there inside the well here. There's a dial for the hop. It's just down there, fairly straightforward. It is really easy to move. Barrel looks got a good bit of play in it, so it's going to move up and down. There's nothing on here that you can attach a silencer to or a tracer unit, unfortunately. Weight wise, it's pretty nice. So everything looks pretty clean. It's a standard Tokyo Marui inside in terms of how it sort of behaves in terms of that. So let me just pop that forward. Sight wise, we've got a little bit of a U sight here, and we've got a sort of straightforward dot. I mean, when I sort of look at those, they are clean as I look at them. I've got them there, and it's fairly clean, fairly easy to sight. You can see if I just try and angle that, it's not particularly good. It's not easy to sight a sight on a camera, but it is. They are very clear. You can see that I'm not holding it particularly well, but that is pretty clear, pretty easy to see. So there's standard sights really. Now, one of the things that I've also there will be essentially upgrade parts for these that will come out. So I already have heard there's going to be garter lowers and metal garter uppers as well. So you can swap these out and basically upgrade the look of this. The garter bottom PC lowers will essentially remove the Tokyo Marui trades there. So essentially it kind of makes it look more real. But at the end of the day, fairly solid, well made, as pretty much every Tokyo Marui is. I think the added bonus here is it is essentially close to real size as possible. It's literally a one-to-one. Magazines, fairly straightforward. Tokyo Marui do a good gas blowback pistol, which is usually really gas efficient. So what I'm going to do next is there is going to be a bit of a chrono, which I will sort of come back to and show you sort of the numbers. And also I'm going to run a bit of a target shoot with it. I'm not going to skirmish this gun because this is a loan gun and I do need to return it. But I will do some test shooting with the Baer Sollutions Targets, just see how well it shoots out of the box. I will be running it with the Abbey Predator 144A gas. This is the recommended gas for the Tokyo Marui gun. In winter, when it's a little bit colder, you can use other gases, so you could use the standard green gas. However, you can get away with this in winter by basically just making sure the mag's nice and warm after you've loaded it. Sort of put it in your pocket for 10 minutes, get it nice and warmed up. But if you can't do that, maybe you use this. You do not want to use the green gas when it's too warm. You will break the gun. Basically, from my understanding, what will probably happen is on the Tokyo Marui, you'll crack the slides somewhere around here. As it's recoiling back, it will break and it'll come apart when you're using a too strong a gas when it's too warm. So with that, we'll be back after the chrono. So we run our chrono here with 0.2 gram BBs and 144A gas, and we get a max of 224 FPS, a low of 197, and an average of 214, with a 5.5 FPS deviation. Welcome back, and we've done our little bit of a shoot test with the Glock 19 here. We've done a chrono, we've done some target shooting with it, and we're going to just quickly talk about the results. So first things first, just as a summary from the chrono, we had a average FPS of 214 with a deviation of 5.5 over 10 shots with 0.2 gram BBs using Abbey 144A gas. We had a min of 197 and a max of 224. I expected the chronos to be a bit lower than other similar pistols because the barrel length on this is a little bit shorter, but they performed pretty much what I expected it to on the chrono. Gas efficiency wise seemed to do quite well. I didn't have to have any problems with it running out of gas through a magazine. It managed to get at least a full magazine off on one load, and actually 2 on each one. So gas efficiency wise it seemed pretty good, but this is a TM, so I wasn't expecting anything more or less than that. In terms of shooting, we have essentially 2 sets of targets here, one with 0.25 gram, one with 0.2 gram BBs. This is the 0.2s with 144A gas. I did overshoot on this side, but we got 5 in a fairly good grouping here. When we did this side, again, fairly good grouping. I actually did an extra shot which went in there. Again, grouping was good. However, when I did the centerpiece, these are much slower. These were quite quick. This was much slower. This one was a flyer on the first shot, but then these 2 were in circle. So we had that. This was on the 0.2s. We ran this through on the 0.25s. Fairly close here. We actually had 2 coming very, very close to each other here, and actually it was good there. And again, 2 fairly close here and very good grouping here, but we did get away with one. I was aiming center. This one was just a little bit off. Now with this one, this was much better than this. We didn't get any stupid flyers up here or way away. These were fairly close within a good sort of region, but I was kind of aiming for the middle here, and it kind of came down here a little bit. But it's a nice tight grouping, so that actually was quite good. So that was with the 0.25s on the Baer Sollutions targets. So they were fairly consistent. The way we run these targets, just for reference, I start on the left and I fire 5 shots, then switch to the right, fire 5 shots, although I did do 6 in one of them. And I do these fairly quickly, so very quick succession rounds, and then I stop, simulate a mag change, so I rack the pistol, because I only have 1 mag for these, so I had to simulate a mag change, and then I take 3 shots against the center, and I take my time with these. I don't do them quick, but I do sort of aim and account for the recoil of the pistol. So we do sort of do this. These were done from 5 meters, and everything was clear on the sighting. I did find though, and I do find this a lot with some of the pistols, especially when they've got quite a big sight, it does block out a good bit of this target. So they are quite small when you're at 5 meters in. So I really couldn't shoot one of these at 10 meters with a pistol because I just can't really sight them properly. But in the end, it performed pretty well. Handling wise, it was okay. I did find it a bit uncomfortable to hold. The slightly smaller grip for me, it's just not clean. My fingers are too close together and I don't feel it. I don't like the grip. Bear in mind that my favourite pistol is this, and I get a nice big gap here. This is an MP9, a TM. I do like this. I have a much better time with this in terms of using it. Mag release is a good position. Catch bolt release, slide release is good. Safety on this is in a good position for my hand, and I do find I find the grip on this much more pleasurable. I don't find it forced, which is pretty much what I find with the Glocks, especially with this sort of ridging. It's just, I feel it's very forced when it comes to holding the gun. It kind of forces my fingers in a certain way, and I don't like the feel of it, and that affects my shooting and my manhandling of the said firearm, as it were. So I'm not a big fan. That's even with a full-size Glock pistol grip. With this, because it's a bit shorter, it's a little bit more cramped than it would be on a normal Glock. And on a normal Glock, I don't like it because of that, because it spreads my fingers out too far, and it kind of has an unnatural sort of positioning for me. I end up having fingers on top of ridges, and it just doesn't work for me. This, although they're not on top of the ridges, I feel very cramped and I don't like it. So it's pretty nice pistol. It shoots pretty well. Would I buy one? I probably won't. If you like Glocks, I would recommend you get one of these if you can handle the size of the pistol grip. If you've got big hands, I doubt the grip on this will suit, because your hands will have trouble with it. But in terms of, if you want a faithful replica of a Glock, this is it. It basically will fit real steel holsters. It's a TM pistol. It shoots really well, but you know, the sort of mechanics of the Glock sort of series of guns I do not like. You can mount to this. You can mount a light tack light to the front here, standard stuff. So it is kind of maneuverable. You can't put a tracer unit on it. I suspect because there's going to be upgrades for this, like new Garda gear, that's basically a new lower with without any of the Tokyo Marui stuff, and a new Garda upper. I bet there's going to be a new barrel, the outer barrel, that means you can actually end up with some threading potentially for a tracer and everything else. As I say, it's performed pretty well for me. Hasn't jammed, hasn't short stroked. The temperature when I was firing the Abbey gas was about 15 degrees. It worked flawlessly. I didn't have to heat up the mag so much, and I ran the mags through fairly quickly as well when I was doing the testing, and it didn't really affect the performance. You know, when it was done with the mag, it locked back the slide very straightforwardly and reliably, which is something that can be not said for certain other pistols I've been looking at recently, namely the SSP1. That pretty much almost never racks back now when it's done with a pistol mag. But at the end of the day, it's a Tokyo Marui. It's a really good pistol. So with that, we will finish up. This has been the review of the Tokyo Marui Glock 19. New pistol from TM. Very nice. Not my cup of tea. However, if you do like Glocks, I would recommend you pick one up, have a play with it. Go to your local Airsoft store if they've got them in stock. Try it out, see how you like it. I say the short pistol grip is not everyone's cup of tea, as it were. If you've got big hands, then it might be an issue for you. If you've got small hands, this is going to probably work okay for you if you can deal with the grip. Obviously there's aftermarket parts that might change this, but essentially it's a TM. It does shoot well. as I say, we've got a few outliers and so on here, but it's well within what I would expect for a pistol, and well within what I'd expect for an airsoft pistol. So with that, I'm going to finish it up with this. At the time of recording, was on sale at Wolf Armouries for £145, £144.99 in fact. Now you may be able to get this at a better price elsewhere at some point whenever you basically view this video. I will put in the description some links to sites that actually have this in stock at the time of publishing. So bear that in mind. If you come to this months after when I've published this, they may not be in stock in the stores that are referenced. I'll try and put some from around Europe that have it. With that, if you've enjoyed the review today, found it useful, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more of the content from the site, please subscribe to the channel. And with that, thank you all for watching, and goodbye.